I noticed that there are some Democrats out there feeling a bit demoralized these days with the Democratic presidential race still extremely unsettled and the president going after his enemies after Senate Republicans let him off in the impeachment trial. And they're worried, understandably, that Trump could get reelected, despite the overwhelming evidence that he does not belong in the White House. But it's important to remember two things. One, as I've discussed before, Trump is much weaker than he wants you to think. Look at his approval rating, which, as you can see, is underwater, as it always is, or the fact that a majority of the country literally wanted the Senate to convict Trump and remove him from the White House. 51%. The other thing to remember is this. The way to beat Trump isn't by lamenting the way things are. It's by doing the hard work to change how they are. Getting out, fighting for what you believe in, doing what it takes on the ground every day to change the course of this country's history. And I wanted to talk to three people who are doing just that. Joining me now from Madison, Wisconsin, Ben Wickler, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party from Washington, D.C., Rana Epting, who's executive director of MoveOn, and from Austin, Texas, Tori Gavito, who is in Texas, organizing voters with Way to Win Progressive Donor Network. It's great to have you guys all here.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
I want to start, so Ben, I want to start with you in Wisconsin. People talk about a tipping point state where they look at the Electoral College and they look at the sort of likelihood of different candidates to win it. And a lot of people think that Wisconsin's a tipping point state, which is to say the person that wins Wisconsin will win the election most likely. And I wonder if you agree with that and what it looks like there on the ground in terms of what the kind of current state is of your state.
So every analysis that I've seen, and apparently every analysis that the Trump campaign has seen, suggests that whoever wins Wisconsin will be our next president. In a secretly recorded Trump campaign briefing, his senior counsel said, if we win Wisconsin, we win the election. If we lose Wisconsin, we lose the election. So it really does feel like it comes down to what happens here. And what that means for us, even as we watch, there are dozens of Trump staffers on the ground in Wisconsin right now. What it means for us as Democrats is that we can cut through the noise, the propaganda, the attacks on democracy, all this stuff with our most powerful weapon, which is organizing. This last weekend, it was 18 degrees outside in Madison. It was colder in northern Wisconsin. And yet we had more than 100 different communities where neighborhood teams launched door-to-door canvasses and talked to voters, listened to voters in every corner and every community of this state. That was the kind of thing we saw maybe in September, October of 2016. We've never been this mobilized before in the history of the state, as far as we can tell. And there are people going to wisdems.org/volunteer from other states and saying they're ready to retire early and move to Wisconsin or take a year off in the middle of college and come help us. We say, welcome.
Classic retired in northern Wisconsin gambit. Tori Gavito, you're in Texas. I have to say, I think, Texas is, I've always been fascinated by Texas and Texas politics. I love the state of Texas. I know a lot of people down there. I want to start out with some polling I saw today that just kind of blew my mind, actually. So this is Texas head-to-head polling in the state of Texas. Bernie Sanders losing to Trump by 2 points. Warren losing to Trump by 3 points. Biden losing by 4 points. The rest of the field losing the most by 5 points. This is in the state of Texas. What is going on in that state right now?
Thanks for having me. I am so happy that I'm actually on with colleagues out in Wisconsin, because all the data points to the fact that if we win Texas, Trump will be the last Republican in the White House for a generation.
That is true. Let me just say, let me say as a long-term project that basically everything about American politics changes if and when Texas goes blue. Like the entire, like in an almost irreversible way.
But here's the truth. It's a long-term project that started many years ago. In Harris County, we've been organizing new voters to come out and vote, and we've been tipping the state forward. And really, it's that model that I've used to pull into Way to Win. We have a plan for 2020 that is tracking 293 races across battleground states from Arizona to Texas, to Florida, to Virginia, to Pennsylvania. It's these local elections with local organizers who are going to mobilize new voters, and we're going to win.
You just mentioned, I know you guys have done a lot of funding of organizing in Harris County, which is around Houston. I just want to so folks know what the math looks like. 2020, Obama and Romney tie Harris County by 49%. By 2016, Clinton wins by 12% in Harris County, and O'Rourke beats Cruz 58-41 by 17 points. So this incredible gap has opened up in Harris County. It's actually one of the most important sort of changes in Texas politics. Rana, in D.C., I know that you guys Move On has members all over the country. And I guess my first question to you is, for people that are sending you emails or part of your group or getting emails or going to meetings who right now feel a lot of angst, frustration, sometimes even despair, because Democrats are sort of inclined towards that. Like, what is your message to them?
First of all, I won't lie to you. I understand how you can feel that way, especially when we have a man in the White House who is clearly not our friend. He's been taking a wrecking ball to our Constitution, our rule of law, our government for 3 years now, and Move On members have had enough. They've not just watched President Trump attempt to and sometimes be successful in destroying our democracy, but they've stood up time and time again since his first day in office to push back and to defend the communities under attack, to defend our democracy. And it is that energy that we are ready to galvanize and take from resistance into action and move forward in 2020 to defeat Trump, to protect the House and take the Senate.
Do you feel like the energy has carried through? I think there's a lot of and you have objective metrics, obviously, internally, more than most people have. Like, you've got a control panel that's looking at the open rate on your emails. You've got a control panel that's telling you how many calls people are making and how many people are responding to you. When you look at that, when you're sitting there in your control room on your computer, are you seeing flagging, diminishing enthusiasm, or are you seeing it straight, or are you seeing it intensifying?
We're seeing it morphing. You'll see high points of energy to resist, whether it's the Republicans' attempts in 2017 to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Very high energies of action rates throughout the country. We had hundreds of thousands of people day after day in their local congressional districts taking action. And then in 2018, that energy changed and it focused on taking the House and winning the election. And now in 2019, I think you're seeing people last year was 2019, and we saw people continue to take action day in and day out. We moved forward with the impeachment proceedings. And now we're seeing our members in 2020 really wanting to move forward and unify and get behind the Democratic nominee and beat Trump in November.
All right. Ben Wickler, Tori Gavito, Rana Epting, that was fantastic. Thank you all. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.